On today's episode, we wrap up our series or thought discussion, whatever you want to call it, on the idea of seasons of life. And our topic for today is, are you winning or losing in life right now? Now, if I asked you this, are you a competitive person, what would you say? Yes, I'm very competitive, or no, I'm not competitive. Is it that you love a good challenge or just a good game, or are you the type that will make a competition out of anything, whether it's taking the garbage out, whether it's washing the car, whether it's playing flag football or whatever, church, league, softball, whatever it is, you're going to make it as competitive as if you were there at the Super Bowl. Some of us love to compete, and therefore, if you compete, you love to what? Win, right? I mean, no one competes to lose. That would be absolutely ludicrous. I guess the next question I need to ask is this: are you a good loser? Are you able to lose? Why do I ask that? Because no matter how often we win, there are times when we will lose. Now, if you were to take the time to Google or look up the greatest winning streaks in sports history, it's amazing to see some of those streaks and how teams just kept winning. The amazing accomplishments, the trophies that were won, the excitement that went with that winning streak. So when you look there, under each listing is this. It's the start of the winning streak with the date. But underneath every single one of those winning streaks, it says this: end of streak with the date. You see, every one of those winning streaks came to an end. And when you look at this, what's even more amazing really are some of the losing streaks. Some of the losing streaks stretch far longer than the winning streaks. You feel sorry for some of those teams when you see 80 games, 90 games in a row that were lost. And you have to think, man, they are persevering people to continue playing and competing in sports. But guess what? After the 80th game, they won. After the 92nd game, they won. You see, that losing streak came to an end. And so records are constantly broken, win streaks are constantly broken, and eventually losing streaks are broken. You see, there are seasons in life of winning, and there are seasons in life of losing. Well, while all this I spoke about relates to sports, it also relates and applies to our lives personally. You see, this idea of winning and losing is governed by the season principle we've been talking about. So Solomon discussed in detail in chapter 3, he said, verse 1, to everything there is a season, and to a time to every purpose under the heavens. So everything you and I see, experience, feel, there's a season and a purpose for it. He goes in and says, a time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away. And so first of all, I want us to see that there's a time to get. You see, there are seasons for us to gather, to invest, and to gain. This can be the material possessions in life, seasons of great prosperity. Maybe you're buying new things. You're making great investments. Maybe this is when your pay is high and your bills are low, right? And you're able to put up money in savings. You're able to buy extra stuff. You're able to really store up, if you will. Now, this could be relationships, a time to get. Seasons when you're meeting new people and making good friends. Maybe you just met the man or the woman of your dreams. This can be the spiritual fruit in your life and ministry. The Bible talks about we lay up treasures in heaven by what we do here on earth. So there are times and opportunities that come that you feel are extremely profitable, and you see tangible fruit. You see people coming to the Lord. You see people growing. You see whatever ministry efforts you're involved in, you see growth there. And all this is exciting times when you see growth and investment in your material possessions of life, in your relationships, your spiritual fruit, life and ministry. Now, while there are seasons for us to gather, to invest, and to gain, guess what? On the flip side, there are seasons for us to give away and lose, as Solomon said. This can be the material possessions in your life. There's seasons when we have to do what? We have to finish school. There's seasons when we move, maybe away from a place we really liked, or even a place we hated, and we're going to move to a place we do like. Maybe it's time to sell that house you love so much, or to sell that car that you are so invested in. It's been with you through thick and thin. You hate to get rid of her or him. Pay is lower during this time. Maybe unexpected bills are higher. This is a different season of life. Maybe you have to take a loss on an investment. Nobody likes to do that. Or you gain only just a little bit. This can be as far as relationships, seasons where friends change. You lose a good friend. Goals and convictions change, and maybe you just drift apart. Maybe there was a severe breakup or a loss you experienced in some type of a relationship. This can apply to your spiritual fruit in your life and ministry when you just see no fruit. You feel distant and you feel disconnected from God. You see, there's times in our life when it's time to gain, to invest, to gather. And then there's times in our life to give away, to lose, not to be as productive. And it's easy to gain. It's easy to invest. It's easy to see the fruit. It's hard when it's the other seasons of life, when we're losing, when we've lost that friend or we've lost that relationship. You see, seasons of loss can be hurtful and they can be very confusing. There's no way around that. I don't want to minimize that aspect to say, oh, well, you're just in a season, get over it. And that's not it at all. The seasons you and I go through are real. We feel them. Just like the emotions we talked about on Tuesday are real and we feel them. And so it's hard to understand why you may be in that season. But so many times when you get through the season and you begin to look back on the season, then you begin to understand why. But that's not always. There's some seasons in my life that I have not understood why I have gone through that specific season. And then I get to the other side and things begin to change, but I still do not understand why God took me through that season. You know, there's going to be some things in our lives that we do not understand. We have to trust God. We trust that God loves us. We trust that God wants the best for us. And we trust that God allows seasons into our lives, even though some people force circumstances and seasons in our lives, that God can still use those, according to Romans 8:28, for good, all things for good in our lives. And so the seasons of loss can be hurtful and confusing. Then there are seasons when everything just feels like it's in neutral, right? In between the gaining and the losing. Seasons of waiting, and it's hard to see purpose. Maybe you find yourself in that season now. You're just wondering, am I supposed to make this decision? Am I supposed to go here? What am I supposed to do next? And you're having a hard time making that decision. Or maybe as you sit in neutral, you miss the previous season of your life. And so many times we look backwards, wishing we could go back into that season, gain back that friend or gain back that job or make that investment or go back to that place where we previously lived. But we cannot go back to previous seasons. We can only embrace the season that we're in and then move forward into the seasons that God has for us in the future. The interesting thing is that I've learned through life, there are seasons I've found myself in, if I can just be honest with you, the last 3 years of our family and ministry, and so much has changed, that I began to be confused and not quite understand why God was allowing certain seasons to come into our life. And as you begin coming out of some of those seasons, you look back and some of them you understand, but then some of them you do not. But one thing I have learned is through all of that, though some of it I did not want, some of it was unexpected, they were all seasons of growth. And I think if we can catch this principle that God is always at work in our life, no matter when it seems it's neutral, no matter when it seems we're going backwards, no matter when it seems like a terrible season, God uses the seasons of our life to work in a mighty way in our life. One, to reveal himself to us in a closer way, to draw us in a closer relationship with him, to ground us, to cut away some things that maybe need to be cut away in our life, to strengthen our faith, all for the preparation for us to do what he has for us in the future. So all seasons, no matter if it's weeping, laughing, if it's mourning, celebrating, if it's anxiety, if it's fear, if it's excitement, whatever emotion, whatever season of your job change, you're finishing school, it's time to start your career, or you lost this job and you're having to go search for another, or you went from being single to married, or you've had a loss in your family. All these seasons God uses to grow us. And I believe if we can catch that principle, it'll help us to make the most of the seasons you and I find ourselves in. So regardless if we're in a season of losing, we're still growing. Regardless if we're in a season of winning, we're still growing. You see, God uses each season for, as it says here, a specific purpose. The purpose of growing, the purpose to make us more like Jesus Christ, to renew our minds, to prepare us for the next season of life. Excuse me. So the question is this: are you winning or losing? Are you currently gathering or giving away? Either way, you're doing this. You're winning with God because He uses the seasons to prepare and to grow us. So again, we don't like to lose. I don't like to lose. Anytime I play a game, I don't want to lose. But there are times that we lose in order to gain and grow. Kind of backwards thinking, but this is God's way. So seasons of giveaway and loss are just as much a part of life as seasons to get and gain. My encouragement to you is this: stop looking back on the previous seasons of gaining and wishing you could go back. Embrace the season that you're in, even if it's a season of loss or losing, knowing that God still has a great purpose in it. Learn what you can while you can. Grow where you are while you are there. And look forward to new seasons of getting greater growth in life.